Greetings. What does it take to make a great film great? What elements need to come into play? What aspects need to be given keenness for a great film to be called truly great? The technical aspect is one very important element of filmmaking that definitely, when given the right attention, will make a mind-blowing film. In our African context, specifically here in Kenya, the lighting department is one aspect of the film space that can tell an amazing story visually, emotionally, and in a very believable way. Why do I say this? As Africans, we are great with colors. We are blessed with sceneries. We are amazingly gifted with melanin. Something about these aspects or these fabrics of expression through color makes lighting one space that one can play with and get amazing stories told in a very visually compelling and exciting way. You see, when we think about lighting, we sometimes overthink and think that we need to get these crazy, huge lights to make a great cinematic scene come to life. While in essence, most and the very basic kind of lighting is one that we call three-point lighting. What I mean by this, when we think about how the natural sources of light affects us in different spaces, right there we have our answer. You see, when you're filming and you're lighting for a film, you are trying to emulate how a natural occurrence would look like visually. How light would affect someone sitting under a tree. How light would affect someone sitting alone in a low-lit room where the house lights are off and only the moonlight is coming through, shining on them or on some surface. So it is purely trying to ape what is already in existence. So when you think about lighting in that sense, you're able to see that it is possible to shape the light, to pronounce some elements about your subject and their surroundings, and be able to tell a story that is believable through your eyes of imagination. And when we get lighting correctly, that story becomes unforgettable. Back to three-point lighting. With three-point lighting, we have what we call a key light. Usually, that is the biggest source of light that is affecting a space or the characters or character. In this sense, assume you are thinking about the natural big light, which is the sun or the moon. And you are in a space, say inside a house that has tiny windows. How would that sun pronounce its presence inside that room? Once you figure out that is your basic way of trying to recreate a key light into that space. So usually the key light will come from the side where the motivation of the light source is, assuming this is my window over there, my key light would come from that side. It would hit my right side of the face. But then it won't stop at that. Assuming the window is big, the entire room would be lit, right? And that is what the key light should do. So when you're lighting, you want to think about where the key light is gonna be, because that is what is going to motivate how you're gonna set up all these other lights. So for purposes of just understanding, let's say that is our window. Our key light is coming from that side. Then my face would be hardly lit on this side. The side of my face would be more pronounced in terms of the intensity of the light that is finding my face. And because our window is big, the rest of the room will be full of light, but maybe not in the same intensity because I'm closer, say, to the window. So my face will be more lit compared to the background. And then that takes me now to something else, the motivation of something called a filler light. What motivates a filler light? Mostly is the aesthetics, that the feeling of the room is being fed from the key light. What that light shapes into, what that light does to the walls, what that light does to the surfaces it meets along, and what that reflection from the surfaces and the walls does to my face. How does it feel my face? So for purposes of understanding again, when the key light comes into the space and hits and bounces on different surfaces, then back again to my face, it would feel my face, but not with the same intensity as the key light. So in this particular case, you would find like my key would be like from this side, my filler would be from this side, which is now a light that has bounced off the walls and come back and hit me. But the ratio between these two lights would be slightly different. This would be on my shadow side, which is the filler light hitting on my shadow side of the face, all right? So the intensity will be lower. So in terms of ratio, think of key light intensity kubwa or big, and then the filler light intensity ndogo or slightly lower intensity. So that we are being true to how I would look when I'm being hit from a natural source, that is either the sun, and I'm closer to the wall. One side will be a little bit shadowy, the other one will be well lit. And then takes me back to something else that we call a backlight. The same key light is traveling all the way to the farthest end of the room, so it's feeling, but back there it's not having the same effect as the distance that I'm closer to the window is, So what happens? We need to try and light the back of the space that we are from or we are at, but at a different ratio. You see? Now, something interesting. Sometimes the filler light can be able to tell a story. And before it tells that story, there's something that we need to do. For purposes of cinema, for purposes of aesthetics of film, we need to separate the character or the subject from the background so that we can have all these elements clearly in their space and create something we call depth. Then checks in another type of light called a rim light or a kicker. That would be not necessarily a backlight, but you can have it slightly on the rear side, but at an angle. That one would be one that is aesthetically responsible for separating my shoulders, my hairline from the background. That's called a kicker light. Kicks in good vibes, you know? Yeah. Now, apart from that, let's think about what purpose lighting does. Apart from just being a believable source of visually storytelling, it can also be an artistic tool to enhance a specific emotion or just visual appeal. In this case, you can have what we call practical lights. Practical lights range from house lights to lamps to candles and all these other things that are sources of light that are either portable or are manipulated by where we place them for aesthetics in our spaces. In this instance, you can see a tiny lamp over there at the back. That's like a practical light. And we've dialed it to a temperature and color of our own interest. And you can also see another light that is also coming through the bookshelf over there. That is also a practical light. But if it illuminates the entire space in a way that we are comfortable, then it becomes an artistic choice to not reflect what the key light is doing in terms of the temperature, but allowing an artistic decision or choice to manipulate the background for either aesthetics or just vibes. Yeah. So when it comes to lighting, we need to be very intentional on why we are putting which light where and what that is going to reflect in terms of the bigger picture of the story that we are trying to tell. So, in essence, lighting is a very crucial component on the technical aspect of making a film great. On a light note. See you on the next one.